The TAO Halving is coming. And while everyone is talking about it, almost nobody understands what it truly means. So today, we're going deeper. Let me start with a story. Imagine Bittensor as a living, breathing digital city. A city built on intelligence. A city powered by miners, validators, and subnets, all competing, collaborating, and evolving together. Year after year, this city creates new currency, rewarding the people who make it smarter. But the halving? That's the moment the city makes a decision. We don't need to grow bigger. We need to grow smarter. During the halving, TAO issuance changes, reward structures shift, incentives realign. The entire network matures in a single moment. This affects miners, validators, subnet performance, and yes, even how the ecosystem is valued long-term. If you understand Bitcoin, you already know halvings matter. But the TAO halving? It's different, more dynamic, more intelligent, and honestly, way more interesting. So let's start at the beginning, what the halving really means, and what's about to change. So let's start simple. What is a halving, really? In crypto, a halving is the moment a network reduces how much new currency it creates. For Bitcoin, that means fewer Bitcoin entering the supply every 4 years. But in Bittensor, the halving works differently, because TAO isn't just a store of value, it's the fuel that pays miners and validators for intelligence. Right now, the network issues a certain amount of TAO every block, but after the halving, that amount drops. Not to zero, not instantly, but in a way that smoothly shifts incentives across the entire ecosystem. This is important because it changes how miners compete, how validators curate, and how much new TAO enters circulation each day. So when people say the halving is happening, they're not just talking about price, they're talking about a fundamental change in how the network thinks. Now let's break down how TAO issuance works today, and what actually changes at the halving. Alright, now that we know what a halving is, let's talk about how TAO issuance works today, before anything changes. Every block, Bittensor creates a fixed amount of new TAO. That new TAO is split across miners and validators based on how much value they contribute to the network. Miners compete with each other by producing intelligence. Validators compete by ranking that intelligence, and the issuance they receive depends on how well they perform. So right now, every block adds new TAO into circulation. Not randomly, not evenly, but in a way that rewards the actors who make the network smarter. This system has worked extremely well for growth, but it also means issuance today is higher than it will be after the halving. And that's why the halving matters, because we're about to change how much new TAO enters the ecosystem and who earns it. Next, let's break down what actually changes at the halving and how those changes ripple across the network. Alright, so what exactly changes at the halving? Right now, every block releases a certain amount of new TAO. After the halving, that amount decreases, not to zero, but enough to change how incentives flow through Bittensor. Miners will still compete, validators will still curate, subnets will still operate. But with less new TAO entering the system each day, the competition for rewards becomes tighter and smarter. Issuance doesn't just drop, it reshapes the entire reward curve. It pushes the network to prioritize higher quality intelligence, better ranking, and more efficient contribution. So the halving isn't just an economic event, it's a network-wide recalibration, a shift toward intelligence that actually deserves rewards. And this is where things get interesting, because the effects don't stop at the block level. They ripple across the entire ecosystem. Next, we'll break down how these changes affect miners, validators, subnets, and eventually, TAO itself. So how does the halving actually impact the network? First, miners. When issuance drops, miners don't disappear. They get smarter. The ones who produce real intelligence stay competitive. The ones who don't get filtered out naturally. That's by design. Validators feel this shift too. With less new TAO entering the system, their ranking decisions carry more weight. Good curation becomes more valuable. Lazy validation becomes more obvious. Subnets also feel the pressure. The halving pushes them to become more efficient, more specialized, and more competitive for rewards. And then there's the big question everyone asks. What about the price? Here's the truth. A halving doesn't magically pump a token. It doesn't guarantee a bull run. But it does change long-term supply and incentive behavior. And historically, networks with strong fundamentals tend to benefit from that shift. So the impact of the halving isn't hype. It's economics, it's incentives, it's competition, and it's the network recalibrating itself to reward the actors that actually make Bittensor smarter. Next, let's talk about why the TAO halving is different from Bitcoins, and why it matters. So, how is the TAO halving different from Bitcoins? Bitcoin's halving is simple. Every 4 years, the number of new Bitcoin entering the system is cut in half. Same rules, same incentives, just less supply. But Bittensor isn't designed to secure money. It's designed to produce intelligence. TAO doesn't just reward time or computation, it rewards performance, quality, signal. That means when the halving happens, the impact isn't just on supply, it's on behavior. Miners are pushed to produce better intelligence. Validators are pushed to rank more accurately. Subnets are pushed to specialize and outperform. So while Bitcoin's halving slows inflation, the TAO halving actively reshapes how the network learns. That's the key difference. One reduces issuance, the other evolves intelligence. And that's why comparing the two directly misses the point. Next, let's talk about what to watch after the halving and how the network may evolve from here. So after the halving, what should you actually be watching? First, miner behavior. Not who's loudest, but who's consistently producing useful intelligence. That signal becomes much clearer when issuance tightens. Second, validator accuracy. As rewards become scarcer, good ranking matters more. The validators that consistently surface high-quality outputs will shape the network's direction. Third, subnet competition. You'll start to see which subnets adapt, specialize, and deliver value, and which ones struggle under tighter incentives. And finally, network efficiency. Less issuance doesn't slow Bittensor down. It forces the network to mature. So instead of asking, will the halving pump the price? The better question is the network becoming smarter, leaner, and more competitive? Because in the long run, that's where real value comes from. So the TAO halving isn't just about less supply. It's about better incentives, smarter competition, and a network that's learning how to mature. If you understand how TAO rewards intelligence, you'll understand why this halving matters, long after the headlines fade. I'll be covering what happens after the halving, how the network evolves, and what signals actually matter going forward. So if you want clear, no-hype explanations of Bittensor and TAO, make sure you're subscribed. I'm the TAO Guide, and I'll see you in the next one.